My name is Steffi, I'm a millennial, and I'm probably going to be living in apartments for the rest of my life. And that's probably the case for a lot of us. But you know what? It's like I always say, just because you rent your space doesn't mean you can't own your style. Which is why I've made it my mission to use YouTube, Instagram, and my blog as my digital soapboxes to preach to the millennial masses that just because there isn't any room for us in the housing market doesn't mean we can't create beautiful homes for ourselves. And it's not even just millennials. I've gotten some really interesting insight in the comments on my videos from people born well before the millennial age range who are also apartment dwellers. So the apartment lifestyle is very much a reality for people all across the age spectrum. I just happen to be a millennial. You know, that means I'm hell-bent on destroying industries like napkins and Applebee's and diamonds and homeownership while I cry into my avocado toast and use my NYU degree to soak up the tears because I don't buy napkins. So on Instagram, I invited you guys to ask me any questions you might have about interior styling, apartment living, general lifestyle stuff, and in this video, I'm going to answer them. By the way, if you're feeling the FOMO right now, don't you fret. Just follow me on Instagram at moda.misfit, and you can catch the next time I do an Ask Me Anything over there, and you can have your question featured in a video just like this in the future. So let's go ahead and tackle these questions, and feel free to comment below if any questions come up for you. Okay, I'm gonna dive into these questions now. So this first question is from Claudia. Any styling advice for when you can't change the furniture? Example, student rental. Yes, Claudia, whether you live in an apartment or a dorm room or any sort of situation that is temporary, the key is in the accessorizing. So you may not be able to get new furniture. And trust me, I remember my college days, and I remember vividly just how unattractive the furniture was in that situation. And the way I made it into a home is I got my ass to Pier 1. I got throw pillows, I got a blanket for the end of my bed. I just infused basically every corner I could with interior decor. And that's what I do here too in my studio apartment. The key to making my apartment into a space that feels like my home rather than a rental is in those little touches. And the key with those little touches, those little accessories that you place around the space, is having them represent a piece of you, whether it's just aesthetically something you're drawn to, or if it has a special meaning, if it has a special memory attached to it, or if it represents a passion, a hobby, an interest of yours. For example, what I do in this apartment is I have music references everywhere because I'm obsessed with music. I have Legend of Zelda little accents here and there, and these are things that I'm obsessed with that give me little visual reminders of who I am and why this space is mine, even though I don't technically own it. So the next question is from All the Answers. How do you keep your place clean at all times? Very, very good question. It's a mixture of a few things. So one of them is keeping my whole storage system for this apartment pretty on point, and you can watch that in this video. I go through my favorite storage solutions that I've used ever since my New York days of living in tiny dorms and small apartments. So if you want like a full fleshed out video of how I store things, you'll want to check that out. I'll link to it below in the comments or in the description. Something else you should keep in mind though is there's a lot that you don't see on Instagram. For example, you don't see how horribly dusty this place gets. I have a kitty, most of you know Hilo. I have cat hair all over the place. I have my hair all over the place. Hilo and I shed like crazy, and I also had the bright idea to use a lot of black surfaces. I have a black table over here, I have my black keyboard, my black desk, my black console table. I love black, and so the unfortunate thing of having the dark soul that I have is that you lean towards furniture choices that show dirt like crazy. So when you look at my Instagram feed, it looks like it's very clean, and it does look like that every day. It's not a show that I put on for Instagram. It really does look like that every day, but you don't see the little details in which dust runs rampant in this place. It's basically like the apartment version of Pigpen in the Peanuts gang. You know, the little kid who's always surrounded by a cloud of dust. That's my apartment. His name is Pigpen, right? So all the answers, I can tell from your misery-faced emoji that you are not happy with your cleaning situation in your apartment. And overall, go easy on yourself, girl. It's truly, like, none of our apartments are perfect, and mine may look really nice in terms of not being super cluttered, and it may look stylish, but it has its flaws, and man, they're really dusty flaws. This next question is from Alicia Nicole Hart. How long after trying minimalism did you put everything back, or have you not? So Alicia is referring to my last video, which was I tried minimalism. So I basically stripped down my apartment to nothing but my bed and my couch. Basically, I just stripped away all of my accessorizing, and then I restyled it with more of a minimalist aesthetic. That video is this one right here. I'll link to it in the description below if you want to see what I'm talking about. So yeah, very quickly, it was just a couple days later that I put everything back, but I did make some changes, and that is one thing that I think made that experiment valuable, and what I would recommend to anyone. If you feel like you're in a little bit of a rut when it comes to your interior style, you could try stripping everything away, as in all of the accessories, and rebuild it from there. And seeing my apartment without all of the accessories everywhere just got me to think a little bit more fresh about what I could do with the space. So when I put everything back, I made some little changes here and there, and it's refreshing. So anyway, long story short, Alicia, I did move everything back, but I made some styling tweaks just to refresh the space. This next question is from Nikki. Nikki is actually an IRL friend. Hi, Nikki. IRL is in real life, for anyone out there who doesn't know. Nikki, who is one of my fellow cat ladies, asked, where is the litter box? Hila's litter box is in my walk-in closet. Yeah, that's really one of the nice things about having a walk-in closet. It would be much tougher having a cat without that situation. You can also see that in my studio apartment tour video as well. Green Lady Killer asked, love your style. Any advice for maximizing the seating for guests without compromising on style? Yes, I do. And it means, basically for me, it means having a little bit of an untraditional seating situation when I have people over. I will give you this one caveat. I don't really have people over very much. I'm kind of a hermit in terms of, like, this is sort of my sanctuary space, and anytime I'm with friends, we're usually out. But the times that I have had friends over here have actually been surprisingly successful in terms of comfort. So for my studio, it means having some people on the couch, pulling up some chairs. I have some chairs over in my entryway, pulling up those chairs, allowing people to sit on my bed. It's basically accepting that there will be sort of pockets of people throughout the space, depending on how many people are here, and just accept that. There's nothing wrong with that. People, I have to say, there was one time where I had a bunch of girlfriends over here, and we were so happy to just sit around my couch that we ended up not even going out, which was the plan. We were supposed to go to a bar after sort of pre-gaming here a bit. We ended up just staying here because we were perfectly content and comfy being here. So it is possible to have a successful social gathering in a tiny space. It's just a matter of creating a nice, welcoming ambiance, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Next question comes from Banny128. How do you make it so harmonic? Oh, love that question, and I love the word harmonic because this is a music themed space. In terms of making an apartment feel harmonic, harmonious, if you will, it really comes down to, first and foremost, sticking with things that truly resonate with you and feel like they are a reflection of you. That's the first place to start. Even before considering any sort of aesthetic, think about what makes you happy. Think about the things that you gravitate toward in real life. What movies do you love? What TV shows do you watch? What kind of art do you gravitate towards? What kind of music do you listen to? These are things that are so much deeper than the just superficial look of something. So I highly recommend assessing what's important to you, getting to the root of that. I have a resource that I'll link to in the description below. It's my interior style therapy workbook. Interior style therapy will help you go through the sort of personal journey that you need to go on to really tap into what your style is. I think it's kind of a touchy-feely kind of thing to do, but I think so many people skip over it. Skip over sort of the personal assessment that you need to go through in order to uncover your sort of cohesive style. So start with that, and just this simple act of doing that will set you up better for a more harmonious space. And then from there, then you can get into the more like fun aesthetics. This next question is from KMDD. Living in a studio with a cat, litter box, moving with a cat. I'm moving to Seattle for school. Welcome to Seattle, KMDD. It's a wonderful place. It's my favorite place in the world. So welcome, future Seattleites. So living in a studio with a cat is great. I was very hesitant to get a cat for the longest time because I was convinced that a studio apartment is not conducive to a happy cat life. But I was very wrong about that. At least in Hilo's case, Hilo loves having this little domain of hers. In fact, when I take her to my parents' house out in Snoqualmie, Washington, they live in a big 4,000 square foot house, and she hates it there. She ends up just going to my bedroom and not leaving. I can tell she feels more at ease in a space that is a bit more compact. And I will say my studio is about 500 square feet, so it's not the tiniest space. I've definitely lived in way tinier places in New York, but I can tell like her entire vibe changes when she's back in this studio. She's much less anxious. So if you live in a studio and you want to get a cat, I highly recommend it. And I also think that you should just be super in touch with your cat's energy and making sure that they seem happy and not anxious. As far as the litter box goes, like I said, it's in my walk-in closet, and that's extremely helpful. And then as far as moving with a cat, I've actually never done that. I got Hilo when I was already living here, so I've never moved with a cat. I do think that would be an interesting experience though, because Hilo hates being in the car, so I can only imagine that it would be quite the journey. Next question is from Dreamy Puppy Posh. Again, awesome name. Where do you start with colors? Accessories last? In terms of color, I have a very specific way that I go about doing it. And yes, it does involve accessories last, but I do have accessories in mind as I'm getting started. And the main reason for that is a lot of the accessories, like my pillows, I've actually carried from apartment to apartment. Like, for example, these pillows started with me in my dorm room, my freshman dorm room at NYU. Back in 2006. So I've had these for an extremely long time, and I've just been carrying them from apartment to apartment. So in that way, I do have accessories in mind when I begin decorating a new apartment. But my sort of rule of thumb when it comes to color is to start with a neutral color on all of the big items. So every big piece of furniture in my studio is gray. My armchair is gray, my bedspread is gray, my couch is gray. And then from there, I build upon color with accessories. So the only time I show any sort of color is through accessories. So whether it's through a pop of green in a pillow, a pop of green in some florals, those are basically the only spots that I allow color into. So when I was doing the orange thing, it was only orange and maybe different shades of orange. Now I'm back to green and maybe some shades of gold are the only colors that I'll allow. And I think that's very helpful for a studio apartment or any sort of small living situation because it's a really easy way to make a space instantly cohesive. Next question is from Lemon Path Travel. Is your daytime job interior design? Have you studied interior design? Love your YouTube channel. Thank you. No and no. I've had my interior style blog, Moda Misfit, for a year and a half now. I've helped a few individuals here in Seattle with their interior styling, and I'm in the process of building out my virtual interior styling services. Stay tuned for that. I've never studied interior design. I studied in the school of growing up watching HGTV like every day. That's a good way to absorb a lot of the basic design principles and sort of get a sense of what works, what doesn't, and all of that. I'm not saying it's a replacement for a formal training, of course not, but it did sort of mold my brain into being very interior design oriented. And no, my day job is not as an interior designer. I am an office manager at a digital design and marketing company. So I come home and work on Moda Misfit stuff after work, and I also do it during my lunch breaks on work days as well. So yeah, I'm very busy. Next question is from Anna Chazelle. Anna and I went to NYU together, so hey Anna. How in the world do you think about trinkets to get that somehow end up matching? I feel like I find things that I think will work with my decor, but they always end up looking wrong. Very, very good question. And frankly, I have the same problem as well. A lot of it is just trial and error and experimenting and messing up and expecting to mess up and embracing the messing up and not beating yourself up. Truly, it takes, you see the final product on someone's Instagram page, and you have to realize that that did not happen overnight. If you buy a new piece of decor and then you put it in your space and you immediately think it looks wrong, before you give up, experiment. Try placing it somewhere else. Try adding something like a candle or a lamp or something next to the space, next to the new piece of decor, and create sort of a grouping. Like the grouping of items is key to making something go from looking wrong in a space to looking cohesive and awesome. So, for example, take this little area right here, just top of mind since it's right behind me. Imagine if this sort of faux floral arrangement weren't here. This lamp would still look cool, but it wouldn't look right, and it would look like an incomplete picture. And so you have to keep in mind that maybe something looks wrong, but if you group it with something else, it will suddenly look right. So don't give up on pieces too quickly. Sometimes you do have to throw in the towel and return something, but experiment. Treat your apartment like a piece of clay that you're molding into different shapes, and you mold it and mold it and mold it until it turns into the unicorn figurine that you've been trying to make. Next question is from Anne's Cozy Little Flat. Hi, Anne. How to deal with your other half's dubious taste in decor, LOL. That I completely understand. I don't have firsthand experience with this because my boyfriend and I do not live together here in this studio. He lives in a studio about a mile away, which is super convenient. We are planning on moving in together in the future, and that is something I definitely keep in mind. The idea of having to relinquish some control and having to compromise on my styling, which would be a brand new experience for me. It's not going to be easy. The idea of compromising when I have very strong opinions on my interior style is going to be a challenge for sure. And I think that in your case, Anne, when it comes to your significant other and sharing a space with them, it all comes down to communication. And that can be said for anything having to do with relationships. Any part of a relationship, it all comes down to communication. So if I were you, I mean, it depends on how your relationship is with your significant other, but if I were you, I would sit down and have like a relationship meeting with your significant other and voice your needs, voice the things that you like, allow him to tell you what he likes as well, and then maybe make it a fun couples project, or try to look at it that way. Maybe make a Pinterest board together, maybe watch an episode of HGTV together, make it into sort of a bonding experience where you learn about each other and learn about your preferences and the styles that you lean towards. And you might learn something interesting about each other in the process. I think it all really comes down to sitting down and communicating and really voicing your needs. Make sure you make yourself heard and then listen to him. All right, we are down to the very last question, and this one is actually a series of questions. In fact, a big chunk of a paragraph worth of questions. So I'm going to take them one at a time. This comes from Paranormal Captivity. Another awesome name. Okay, I'm going to try to answer this one as rapid fire as I can. Okay, where did you get that gorgeous nightstand? My nightstand is from World Market. Do you think you will ever want to live in a more divided space? I wouldn't mind having like a separate bedroom. I do love I love an open floor plan, which is why I don't even bother dividing my studio with like a divider, which so many people think that I need to, judging from the comments on my videos. So I'm a fan of open concept, but when I'm living with someone else, it might be nice to have that separation when we're working on our own sort of separate things. So maybe. Any tips on mixing your interests into one cohesive style vibe? Love your game and music influences. Yes, make a list of the things that you love in life that have nothing to do with the decor. Movies you watch, TV shows you watch, video games you play, music you listen to. Like, sit down and actually like get organized about it. Like, make a list, and then you can sit down and start online shopping. Go to a place like if you have nerdy interests, for example. Redbubble is a website that is awesome for people with any sort of nerdy interests. My one piece pillow on my couch is from Redbubble. My brother got it for me. And my Fiona Apple canvas print in my entryway is from Redbubble. So that's a really good place to start in terms of an actual store, online store. What would we hear if we walked into your apartment? TV, audio, music, podcast, audiobook, etc.? That's a great question as someone who's obsessed with music. You would hear, I take in all of that kind of entertainment. You would likely hear Agnes Obel. I highly recommend you check out Agnes Obel. Her music is so beautiful and melodic and haunting, and it really goes with my decor. Like, if you want to hear the music version of my sort of dark, moody decor, listen to Agnes Obel. Is your bathroom styled as completely? I don't remember if you have shown it in a video, and if not, would you ever do a bathroom styling video? I do have my bathroom featured in my studio apartment tour, so you can check it out there. I would like to do a bathroom styling video. The challenge with that one, and you'll see this if you watch my studio apartment tour, the challenge with making a video about my bathroom is there's not much going on there. The reason is because it's so tiny. It is a styled space. There's just only so much room for styling, so there's not really a ton that I have to say, but I would like to find a creative way to sort of do a small bathroom styling tutorial video or something like that. But for now, watch my studio apartment tour for the bathroom section, and that's what my bathroom looks like. Well, that's it for this round of Ask Me Anything. If you have any questions that have come to you while watching this video, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. Everything you guys give me is just fuel for what I'm trying to do here, which is to champion the apartment living lifestyle and get everyone to realize that just because you rent your space doesn't mean you can't own your style, and you are fully capable of making your apartment into your dream home. So follow me on Instagram at moda.misfit, and of course, subscribe to my channel if you're into apartment lifestyle and interior styling stuff, and hit the bell to be notified when a new episode goes up every week. And remember, your apartment is destined to be pretty, and you are pretty powerful.